Hello everyone, I'm Sandeep from Career Launcher. Today we'll be talking in terms of questions related to mirror images and water images. Now, when I say mirror images and water images, in some of the aptitude-based exams, these questions do come. Either it be MBA, banking, SSC, CLAT, IP, MAT, or any other entrance exams. Students generally tend to find it confusing, but what we need to understand in solving most of these questions, or rather in all of these questions, is there is only one single concept that is involved in solving these questions. So either it is a mirror image or a water image. The distance in front of the mirror is the distance behind the mirror. Possibly students who had studied science in class 7 would remember this formula. So with this formula in mind, I like to solve a few questions for all of you. Now, before we get down to the first problem, what we need to understand, let's see certain figures that will help us understand how do we solve questions related to mirror images or water images. Now, when we are looking at, let's take this as a workspace for us. Okay, so this is the mirror that we have in front. Now, if I write the letter D, now, if I see D, how does it mirror image look like? Now, can we see this as X, this distance? This distance from here to here is X. So the line again, this side would also be X. Okay. So here we can very well draw a straight line. Now, if I look at this, if I look at this point here, this distance is Y. Now, similarly here, this distance to here would be Y. Drawing the curve, it is something like this. Okay, so what we need to understand is the figure gets inverted. One, the distance in front of the mirror is the distance behind the mirror. Now, let's take certain very simple examples. If this is a mirror for us, if I draw a line like this, it's image. Now, if you look at this distance, this is the closest distance. This is the furthest distance. It would come here. I join the line, it comes here like this. If the figure is something like this, let's say we were supposed to write a 2 here. Okay, the 2 here in this case would come slightly different. The 2, this tip of 2 is the furthest away. So sorry, this tip of 2 is furthest away that we have. So we have one point here. We possibly will be drawing a 2 something like this. So this point, sorry, this point corresponds to this point, this corresponds to this. We just need to see distances. Let's say x1, x2, here also x2, this point x1. Okay, so whenever we are solving these questions, what we need to keep in mind, the distance in front of the mirror is the distance behind the mirror. Now let's have a look at this question. If I'm looking at the question figure, it has a mirror. So how would the final figure look like? So if I were to draw a figure, this is the closest point. So this is here, followed by this, followed by this, and then I have another point here. Now, all these converge at this point. Now, this point is represented here. So what we need to very simply do is find an option which has all the points converging and looks something like this. Now, there is only one figure which is something more or less the same. So the fourth one is the correct answer. Now, moving down to the next question. Now, if we see this figure, can we draw something? So let's look at the square. Okay, so this figure looks more or less the same. Now, what we need to understand here is this part is closer to the mirror, so this place is empty. Now, this space, if we see here, if we see this space, this is the one that is crowded. So we'll have our blanks coming like this. Sorry. So the third line here in our case goes something like this. Then it is this line in place, and then this line. Similarly, if we look at here, that this one is the near one. So here we'll have, now if we see this line is further away, so the figure would look something like this. See, so this point is further away, this point is corresponded by this point, and now we can trace it. Okay, so this way, then it goes here, and then it goes here. Okay, and the arrow is further away, so this is where the arrow would be like. So possibly if we look at our drawings, so there is only one figure, this one. Now let's look at the third question. Now this is kind of a water image, what we call as a water image. So the figure gets inverted, but the same concept gets applicable here. The base of the triangle is closest to the water or the mirror. So we draw it, the tip of the triangle is the one that is furthest away from the mirror. So the same thing here. Again, the tip of the arrow that we see is furthest away. Its arrow heads, if I see, is here, and the pointed part of the arrow, it would look something like this. So the only answer that again I have is the fourth one. Let's look at another question that we have here. This is a problem, the fourth problem, again, something similar. The filled in round portion is the closest to the mirror. So we have it here, and the arrowhead is again furthest away from the mirror. So we draw it like this. We try to see which figure, the first one. Okay, I hope you have understood the concepts on mirror images. Almost all questions, be it related to clocks also, sometimes questions on clocks comes, and there are a few questions in other entrance exams which are related to mirror images. Hope you have liked the video. If you like the video, do subscribe to our channel. It gives us the motivation to prepare even better videos. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice time.